All right, here we are. This is another Learn in Public, or actually, this was a little bit different this time. This is going to be a hot take. When context fails reality, before AI, fix your fundamentals. Now, today I'm just going to share what I've come to realize about Microsoft 365 Copilot. This was something that I learned unexpectedly, but it makes so much sense now that I've had a little bit of time to digest things. So there is a major difference between. Let me take a step back. I was very excited for Microsoft 365 Copilot, which allows you to have access to the Microsoft Graph that it contains all your emails, SharePoint, org structure, OneDrive, a lot of different things. Anything that you see in Graph Explorer in Microsoft, it's available for the context of the LLM, and they refresh and index in the back end. So super great when you want to summarize your emails, etc., etc. Now, what I've found, and this is the hot take right here. If what your organization has documented is either you haven't documented it well, or it doesn't reflect reality, right? And that's this actual reality. So you interact with Copilot, it's the documented process. Hey, how does XYZ technology work? How does this application work? How do we get a change request put in place? How do we run a particular project? How do we enter a feature? What do we use for entering features? What are the systems that are available? What I found is sometimes the documentation is okay, but a lot of the times when you double click, it might be old documentation, out of date documentation, documentation that doesn't necessarily reflect the actual reality. Now, this kind of highlights the portion of it. The fundamentals still matter. So let's just take a little walk through this diagram here. So you have an AI interaction, right? So in this instance, it's Microsoft 365. You have documented processes in SharePoint, let's say, or OneDrive, or somewhere else in your Microsoft Graph environment. And you say, hi, how do I do XYZ, core capability of IT? So, this is how it's stated to be done. You should do this. And then you find out that is not actually reality. So it doesn't match reality. So it assumes accuracy too, right? It doesn't know any better, and it doesn't have the hallway conversations or the relationships. It doesn't know the organizational landscape, the culture, or how work actually gets done. Highlighted today, we had something that had been long standing, a ticket that had been open over 100 days. I dove deep a little bit, and I just reached out to somebody to say, hey, can we resolve this? What do you think this is? And then, we moved it along its way. But that's the hidden factory inside organizations. It happens all the time. Let's just acknowledge it. And that's when we run into misaligned results, and then we kind of drive it into the ditch, so to speak. But if you have aligned insights, then the organizational impact is good. If not, it's misaligned, and you can accelerate it pretty quickly. So that's really, if you don't have it, it's a problem. So after doing, I had done some deep research in Gemini as well as in ChatGPT around why strong foundations and fundamental processes matter so much, and they matter so much more today than they ever have. So the accelerant that AI can be in portions of the process is super exciting. But the basics, the fundamentals, how work gets done, how you break down the individual problems, that matters so much more. So I think if you look at some of the success criteria with organizations that are implementing large language models and generative AI into their processes, those that have strong fundamentals or a strong foundation, clear process, accurate documents, or strong methodologies and mechanisms, you're going to accelerate success in a way that I don't think I've ever seen before. If you have a weak foundation, poor process or inaccurate documentation process, what have you, or inefficient processes, you're going to literally accelerate portions of that. Maybe you'll incur more technical debt than intended. The context hallucinations where it's not vetted in reality, there's going to be a lot of rework. So that's going to accelerate failure. So the takeaway here is documentation has always been something you don't want to do, but you should do. I think there's a big opportunity to accelerate the retrospective documentation of how things are. That's why I'm a big proponent of architecture. Architecture is code, right? So if you can use the large language models to help shore up your foundation, and you can start small. You can use some of it to discover where your gaps are. Hey, M365 Copilot, do we have strong processes for insert, the capability here? Where can I find the latest information that's relevant? Is this clear? Could I give this to, downstream partner, etc., in the software development process? That's kind of where I'm speaking from. Now, it's not all doom and gloom. There is still opportunity to use large language models to help shore up those processes. And I think that will be one of the next learn in public kind of things. I've done it in the past where I take an existing code base, and then maybe we'll exit Zen mode. We'll do a little on the fly documenting. So we say we have existing code base, right? And it might not be, or maybe we'll just say not code base, existing application ecosystem, right? Code base, process, infra, you name it, right? I think the opportunity now is, and what I'm going to try to show, I've done this in the past, I just don't have time to do a demo now, is when we have that, we can use, the LLMs as a co-pilot. LLM enabled analysis of existing process and systems, right? Now, with this, find the code base, get the code, have a conversation with it, get GitHub Copilot, get Klein, get RuCode, get, your tool of choice, clone the repository, and start asking questions. I think that's the next phase or the next kind of learn in public session. I'm going to try to put together a demo which we can clone an existing code base or an application. I'm going to use, I have an application that does PDF to video content. Some of that is on this channel here. So I'll give a behind the scenes look of that code base and application ecosystem and some approaches on how to discover some of the architecture that has been built by asking some questions, and then using, my favorite tool is diagrams as code, and having the LLMs help accelerate C4 models or architectural diagrams for systems. Hey, once you read all of the code in this application and tell me what the user experience is here, generate a sequence diagram in Mermaid or PlantUML, and that is worth its weight in gold when you go to the next step to kind of document that process and course correct some of those documentation. And then that will help us build a stronger foundation, get the correct context, because context right now, organizational context, application context, business process context, this is what's going to matter most. So I try to keep it right close to 10 minutes. I have to go back to being a dad, but this is a hot take. I've been pretty busy at work, but this is one of the ones that it was a pretty big epiphany to say, yeah, it's just a multiplier, right? If you want great results, get your house in order, get the fundamentals sorted out. And if you don't have them sorted out, ask the LLMs for a plan. Give them the context about what's not sorted out, why you think it needs improvement, and then what is the best next step for us to take. Give it context about yourself in the organization, in your entrepreneurial adventures, to understand where can we impact change and where can we go forward. So I hope you found this useful. I thought it was super useful. I wanted to share it and then kind of help clear my thoughts. I've been sharing it with some other folks at work and other conversations I've had throughout the week, but wanted to stream it out there. Thanks. I'm going to end it here, and I appreciate everybody who's been watching. I'm trying to be more consistent. It's tough as you all are busy. Hopefully trying to do the best we can. All right. And with that, thank you. A good person is always learning. I appreciate it. Take care.